Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. I used to think I was the kind of man women said they wanted: reliable, emotionally available, hardworking. Not flashy, not a sweet talker, just someone you could count on. My wife used to say that's what she loved most about me, that I made her feel safe. But safety, I've come to learn, becomes invisible once people grow bored of it. And comfort? Comfort's just the first casualty when someone starts fantasizing about freedom. It didn't happen all at once. No, it was slow. A little too slow, actually. Like watching your house rot from the inside out while the paint job still looks perfect from the street. She started spending more time alone, long walks, solo gym sessions, me days. I encouraged it at first. I figured it was healthy. We'd both been working a lot, and I thought she just needed space. I was naive like that. Still believed in the whole, if you love someone, you support their growth thing. But then, the affection started to dry up. The goodnight kisses became a quick nod. The I love yous turned into thanks or touch disappeared almost entirely. I asked her if something was wrong more times than I can count. Each time, she'd say, "I'm just tired," or "You're overthinking things." And then, one night, I brought it up again, maybe for the last time. I really tried. I had just come back from work. It was late. She was scrolling on her phone, wearing that look that said, "I'm here, but not really." I sat beside her, trying to talk, really talk. About us. About how disconnected we'd become. About how I missed her. She didn't even look up. When I touched her hand, she pulled it away like I was some stranger reaching for her on the subway. I asked, gently, "Why won't you let me touch you anymore?" That's when she snapped. Her voice was flat, but the words cut like a blade. "Because it's my body. My decision. No hesitation. No apology." I stared at her, dumbfounded. It wasn't even what she said. It was how much satisfaction she took in saying it. Like she had rehearsed that line, had been waiting for the moment to drop it on me. I didn't argue. I just sat there, stunned. She stood up and walked away, leaving me sitting on the couch like a fool who didn't get the memo that his marriage had been reassigned. After that, I stopped trying to initiate anything physical. Not out of spite, but because I felt disgusting for even wanting it. That night, I lay awake while she snored beside me, and all I could hear was that phrase echoing in my head: my body, my decision. Like I had been asking for something I didn't deserve. Like I was some entitled creep instead of her husband. But that was just the start. The next few weeks, things got even colder. I'd come home to dinner on the stove maybe once or twice a week. The rest of the time, there'd be Uber Eats receipts on the counter, or she'd already eaten alone, headphones in, watching something on her iPad. She started dressing differently, too. Suddenly, she had new outfits, tight, expensive things I never saw before. I asked her where they came from, and she said she bought them herself. I checked our shared card. Nothing. So either she used cash or another account. Once, she came home from one of her walks with her hair messed up, a smudge of lipstick missing, and the faintest trace of cologne that wasn't mine. I asked, casually, "Run into someone out there?" She looked at me, dead in the eyes, and said, "Do you monitor every step I take now?" That was the moment I knew. I wasn't crazy. I was just late to the truth. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was her placeholder. Her fallback. Her old coat hanging in the back of the closet, just in case she needed it on a rainy day. But I wasn't ready to explode. Not yet. I decided if she could make her choices, I could make mine too. Quietly. Carefully. Because if there was one thing I had left, it was my dignity, and I wasn't going to let her strip that from me too. I didn't storm out. I didn't confront her. I didn't even change my tone. That's the thing they never expect: silence. It throws them off far more than shouting ever could. I started watching instead. Quietly. Not in some creepy way. I didn't stalk her. I just paid attention. To the details. The inconsistencies. The carefully timed errands. The gym trips with no sweat. The girls' night out stories that never lined up. She had this canvas bag she kept in the back of her closet. Not tucked in a drawer. Not on a hanger. Just crammed behind an old winter coat. One afternoon when she was at a yoga class, I checked. The GPS in her car said she was parked near a restaurant. I pulled out the bag. Inside were a pair of heels I'd never seen before, a red lace set that definitely wasn't bought for me, and a hotel loyalty card tucked into the side pocket. Room 326. Fairview Inn. That was when something snapped in me. Not rage, not sadness. Just a cold acceptance. Like I'd finally stopped trying to swim against the current and realized the water had been poisoned the whole time. She came home that evening smelling like lemon shampoo and someone else's cologne, the same kind I'd caught a whiff of before. I didn't say anything. She didn't notice the bag had been moved. The next morning, I installed a GPS tracker under her passenger seat. Just a basic one. I synced it to an old phone I kept in my drawer. I didn't want to know everything, just where she went when she told me she was working late or seeing Vanessa from Pilates. It didn't take long. 2 nights later, she told me she was going to dinner with Vanessa. Her phone pinged 20 minutes later in the parking lot of the Fairview Inn. Same hotel, different excuse. I didn't confront her. Instead, I texted Vanessa, "Hey, just wanted to say thanks for helping Kate tonight. She's lucky to have you." Vanessa responded 10 minutes later with, "Helping her with what?" There it was. Confirmation. The next few days were an act. She laughed at my jokes again, played her role, like she knew I was drifting and was trying to reel me back in without realizing I already knew the line was cut. Then came the night I truly understood the scope of her betrayal and who was helping her. It was raining. She had gone out again. This time she was smart. She parked 2 blocks away from the hotel and walked the rest of the way on foot. But what she didn't realize was that my brother, Matt, worked as a night shift concierge at the building right next to it. Totally unrelated. He didn't even know what he was watching when he saw her walk past in heels, hair done up, umbrella in hand, heading straight into the hotel lobby at 9:43 p.m. He texted me, confused. "Isn't that Kate? You said she was in Chicago." Chicago. That was her lie. A work seminar. I called him. "You sure it was her?" "Positive. She had the red coat. The one with the belt. I've only seen her wear it twice." It hit me like a hammer. She wasn't just hiding her affair. She'd gotten so comfortable lying, she'd created this whole second life with alibis, props, and fake destinations. And worse, I'd been giving her every benefit of the doubt while she was treating me like a fool to my face. I wasn't angry yet. I was watching, still collecting, still waiting. But then came the worst part. 2 days later, I got a message. Not from Kate, not from Vanessa, from her mother. She wrote, "I don't want to get in the middle, but I really think you should give Kate some space to grow. She's finding herself right now. Maybe you've been holding her back without realizing." Her mother, who I had shoveled snow for, helped move house, paid for her new washing machine last fall. She was in on it. The bag, the lies, the hotel, the mother covering for her, maybe even funding her. That was the moment my resolve turned into a plan. She wanted independence? She could have it, but not with the comfort I'd been breaking my back to provide. No more quiet suspicion. It was time to start preparing for the part where I walk away and make sure she's the one stuck explaining why. I always thought betrayal would come with screaming, or maybe some kind of explosive confrontation, something cinematic. But it didn't. Not in real life. In real life, betrayal creeps in like mold. You don't notice it until your entire foundation is rotting. By the time I reached out to Vanessa, the real Vanessa, Kate had already burned through every inch of her credibility without even knowing it. I invited Vanessa to lunch, just a simple conversation. I didn't expect much, but what she gave me was more than confirmation. It was gasoline poured on the fire I'd been trying to contain. "Oh, so she's still using me as the dinner with friends excuse?" Vanessa said, half laughing, half apologizing. "Look, I didn't want to say anything. I thought maybe you two were just taking a break. I didn't realize she was still lying to your face." "Who's the guy?" I asked, not even hiding it anymore. She hesitated, then said a name I hadn't expected. "Greg." Her coworker. The one who'd been laid off last year. The one I'd loaned money to during his rough patch. The guy I once invited over for beers when his wife left him. That Greg. Apparently, they'd reconnected months ago. He was staying temporarily at a friend's condo, walking distance from the Fairview Inn. "Kate said you two were barely talking anymore," Vanessa added, stirring her iced coffee. "She said you'd grown cold. Controlling." There it was again, controlling. That same word her mother used. Like they were reading off the same script. I realized then this wasn't just her rewriting the narrative to excuse what she was doing. This was a full-blown campaign. I nodded slowly. "She ever mentioned leaving me?" Vanessa paused, then said something that still echoes in my head when the nights get too quiet. She said she might need to burn it all down first. You know, so she can start clean. Burn it all down. That night, I didn't sleep. Not out of heartbreak, but strategy. Every lie Kate told was like a puzzle piece, and now that I had the corners, the rest was falling into place. She had a burner phone. I found it the next morning, tucked under a pile of receipts in her gym bag, hidden in plain sight. The messages on it? I didn't even need to read past the first few to know everything. One read. You better not back out. I told my mom we're doing this. I don't care what he suspects. He can't prove anything. Another. He's getting paranoid. If he snaps, I'll spin it. He looks depressed already. If I push him hard enough, he'll break. She was building a story where I was the problem. Not her. Me. She wasn't just cheating. She wasn't just leaving. She was orchestrating it, so I'd be blamed for everything. She was going to say I drove her away, that I was possessive, unstable, distant, that she tried everything, but I just couldn't meet her needs anymore. And it might have worked, because I'd been too quiet, too tolerant, too careful. Until now. I copied every message. I photographed the burner. I even filmed myself finding it, time-stamped and clear. But the final nail didn't come from Kate. It came from someone I trusted even more than Vanessa. My sister, Jenna. She called me out of the blue one afternoon. Are you okay? I'm managing, I said, keeping my voice even. There was a pause. Then she dropped it. Mom told me something weird. Said Kate called her last week, crying, saying she's scared you might act out if you find out about the affair. I closed my eyes. Kate wasn't just rewriting the past. She was pre-writing the future. She was laying the groundwork to make me look violent, dangerous, unhinged. That way, when I found out and reacted like any sane human would, she could play the victim. She'd have her mom, her friend, my own mother, anyone who'd listen, ready to hear her side of the story. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was strategy. So I made mine. I called our accountant the next day, separated the accounts, froze any card with joint access, booked a consultation with a lawyer, quietly moved a few sentimental items into storage, photos, personal documents, valuables. By the end of the week, everything I'd built for us was back under my name. She didn't even notice. She thought I was still sulking, still begging for her touch, still swallowing her contempt with a polite nod. But I was done being the man she could lie to while living in the house I paid for. She wanted to be free? Good. Because the next time she came home, she'd find out exactly what that freedom cost. It's funny how fast people can convince themselves they're invincible when they think you're still playing the same game. Kate was still operating like she held all the cards. Like the worst I'd ever do was sulk on the couch or give her the cold shoulder. She'd come home late, toss her bag on the kitchen table, and pretend the world owed her peace just for existing. If I didn't ask where she'd been, she'd smile to herself like she'd won something. If I did, she'd sigh like I was a disappointment for not trusting her. But I was past all that. I was focused, surgical. First thing I did was get the house appraised behind her back. We'd bought it together 5 years ago, but all the financing and title transfers had run through my side of the family's legal firm. At the time, she thought it was romantic. You trust me that much? She'd said. I did. Back then. Now it was a godsend. She'd never bothered reading the fine print. The house, legally, was mine. Every major asset, also mine. The lawyer I hired confirmed it in 10 minutes flat. Next, I reviewed our messages. Not the obvious ones, the subtle ones. The times she'd insulted me in code, or turned her mother and friends against me while I stood there with dinner on the stove. I cataloged everything. Dates, screenshots, behavior patterns, her burner phone, her fake trips, even her mother's involvement. I started building a file, the kind of file any good divorce attorney could turn into gold. By the end of the week, I had a digital trail that proved I wasn't just a victim. I was the only adult left in the marriage. She didn't know. She didn't care. She still thought she was winning. Until the night I finally let the mask slip. She came in late, again. Hair tousled, lip gloss freshly applied like she'd done it in someone else's bathroom. She was scrolling her phone, humming, pretending I didn't exist. I sat at the kitchen table with the burner phone in front of me. Her eyes locked on it before she even dropped her purse. Where did you get that? She asked. Her voice cracked. Just a little. Right where you left it, I said calmly. Under the receipts. Next to your fake self-respect. The color drained from her face. She tried to recover, tried to act offended. But I'd rehearsed this moment too many times to let her steal it. You lied to me, to Vanessa, to your own mother. You framed me to my family. You used Greg like some fallback boy toy while you turned our marriage into a PR stunt. Don't do this, she said. Oh, I'm doing it. And when I'm done, you're going to live in the truth you've been avoiding. Her bravado shattered. The calm, condescending mask she wore gone. And just like that, the game was over. I stood up, walked past her, and handed her a sealed envelope from the counter. "What's this?" she asked. "Instructions," I said. "You'll find a list of everything I've revoked. The accounts, the house access, your privileges to stay here." She looked stunned. "You're kicking me out?" "No," I said. "You already left. Months ago. I'm just making it official." She blinked, opened her mouth like she wanted to scream, but nothing came out. She wasn't used to me being this composed. She wasn't ready for consequences. She thought she'd get pity, a drawn-out fight, maybe even a tearful apology. But all she got was clarity. And then, just as she started to piece it all together, I gave her one last gift, the final page in that envelope. A notarized affidavit from the lawyer, confirming that Greg's name had been submitted to HR at her company, with evidence of their affair attached. The same HR department that handled both their severance packages last year. The same company now preparing to rehire under new compliance rules. "You're insane," she whispered. "No," I said, walking to the door. "I'm just done being your backup plan." She tried to follow me out, but I turned and blocked the doorway. "You said it yourself, Kate. This is my body, my decision." Well, this was mine, and I left her standing there stunned, alone, and with nowhere left to run. She didn't call that night. I thought she might. Maybe she'd try the crocodile tears. Maybe her mother would call instead, saying I was being dramatic or punitive. Maybe Vanessa, who had clearly taken my side, would get pulled into the middle again. But nothing came. Just silence. And it was the most peaceful silence I'd heard in months. The next morning, I got a text from Greg. From a number I didn't recognize. He probably thought I'd blocked him, which I had. It was short. "Sloppy. You didn't have to go that far." I didn't respond. By then, HR had already acted. His job offer had been rescinded. The company couldn't officially say it was because of the documents I sent, but he knew. And so did she. Kate didn't take it well. She called 3 days later from a new number. I let it ring out. Then she emailed. The subject line said, "Please read. It's not what you think." I didn't bother opening it. She tried again. This time, the message said she was confused, that she never meant to hurt me, that she was figuring herself out and didn't expect me to be so cruel. Cruel. That's what she called it. Not the affair. Not the months of lies. Not the way she used me as a safety net while building a new life behind my back. No. My decision to step away from the wreckage and let her sit in it, that was cruel. It was almost impressive how deep the denial ran. Like a snake eating its own tail and calling it empowerment. I filed the divorce papers a week later. The moment the server handed them over, I got a message from her mother. "We need to talk. You're being unreasonable." I replied with one sentence. "Your daughter made her decision. Now she gets to live with it." It was the last time I heard from either of them. Vanessa sent me a bottle of whiskey. No note. Just a raised glass emoji on text. Jenna came by with a casserole and that knowing look sisters have when they've wanted to say, "I told you so," for months, but love you too much to actually say it. I sat on the porch that night, staring at the paperwork on my lap. Freedom. It doesn't always arrive with fireworks or applause. Sometimes it comes quietly, with the rustle of papers and the click of a pen. But it feels no less profound. In the weeks that followed, I found myself again, little pieces at a time. I went to the gym, not because I wanted revenge body nonsense, but because I wanted to move without anger sitting on my shoulders. I called up old friends I'd drifted from. Started sleeping with both eyes closed for the first time in years. And then one day, weeks later, I ran into her. It was at a grocery store. She looked tired. Worn in that way people do when their house of cards has finally collapsed and they're still pretending to stand tall among the rubble. She saw me, smiled nervously, came closer. "I didn't expect to see you here." I just nodded. There was a beat of silence, the kind that begs for one last shot at closure. Then she said the words I had almost predicted, but never really believed she'd have the gall to say. "I miss how stable things were with you." I thought maybe we could talk. I smiled. Not cruelly, not bitterly, just calmly. "Honestly, you had everything you needed, Kate, and you treated it like a burden." Her face flushed. I didn't mean to. I raised a hand. Not to stop her, just to end it. "You were right," I said. "It was your body, your decision. And this," I gestured between us, the silence, the space, the life we no longer shared. "This was mine." And I walked away. For the last time.
Dear listeners, Please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.